Hey there, Internet. Felix Finch here, and welcome to episode 21 of Underground Lucha Things. Did you enjoy the little break? I'm just glad we were able to give it to you as you pondered our mid-season ponderings. But you know what? We're back with episode 21 on this Lucha Underground Retrospective, where somebody who, despite having locked horns, locked arms, having grappled with many people on this roster, has never actually watched the show. We're remedying that. And help me along with the ride is my friend, the wonderful, the Islander girl herself, from mid-card Mana, the one, the only, Angie FN, the loose cannon. Angie, how are you doing?
Bang, bang. I am good. I don't know if I can take Island Girl because that's Tracy Taylor's moniker, but I will definitely take Loose Cannon because that is for the late, great Brian Pillman. So, and again, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's wonderful.
On this show. Always fun.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have you. And we are going into season 1, episode 21 here. Uno, dos. But according to you2, it would be 14, but that is wrong. I don't know what 14 means. I think it's 40. I'm not sure.
I think it's 40, yeah.
But this is no joke, even though it is the April Fool's episode from April 1st, 2015. Once again, we start in Darios' office, and he appears to be shining a set of belts. And Big Ryck enters with two unknown guys named Killshot and the Mack, who you might know today as Willie Mack. He actually just had his this last week at Slammiversary put on a hell of a match with Chris Bay. And Willie Mack is one of the just best dudes all around. Love him. He and I think this might be his really first big shot. But Big Ryck is here to confront Dario about putting out the hit on him. And Dario says that he's introducing a trios title, and hey, you know what? If he, Killshot, and the Mack want, they are in the tournament for the belts. So my prediction of a tag division coming, I was a little wrong because I expected pairs. I did not expect trios. So yes, we have trios now.
It's trios titles.
Yeah, it's not a set. It's not a pair of belts. It's a set of 3. And the first match.
I'm so excited that this has finally happened. I have to say, because I've been dying to talk about it because it's one of my favorite things about Lucha Underground. But you didn't know, so I was just like, I can't say anything yet. I can't talk about it yet, but I want to so bad. But yeah, you called it. Definitely the introduction of a new tag team division. The trios tag team is a little bit less well known in the United States. It's not as common. It's not at every promotion. I think the two bigger promotions that are known that have trios titles now are New Japan and Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor has the 6-man, and New Japan has the never open weights. So I'm really stoked about the fact that now it's finally starting to coalesce. Sorry, I just really love tag team wrestling, and especially in Lucha Underground, the trios were the some of the highlights of the show for me. So I'm just over the moon that I can finally talk about it with you.
Yeah, well, we should see some trios actions a little later tonight. But first off, we get singles action as Angelico takes on Johny Mundo. And this is a very interesting style of match, as it seems to be kind of strike and counter focused in the beginning, with Angelico being extremely smooth in his movement, some of it almost flowing like capoeira, I'd say, and both guys taking advantage of the space between themselves. Angelico gives a huge razor's edge, wings of the angel, to Mundo into a turnbuckle, and Mundo barely gets his foot on the rope. Angelico looks so good, able to have an answer for everything Mundo throws his way, but finally Johny Mundo is able to get the end of the world out of nowhere and get the win. But this was a really fun match to watch, a lot of action.
And to me, I think this was a really defining moment in Lucha Underground for Angelico. I mean, up until this match, we'd kind of really only see him tangle with Ivelisse and Son of Havoc, and then in the four-way match when it was also, I want to say, Argenis, Aerostar, and Brian Cage. And he didn't look bad in any of those by any stretch, but I mean, Johnny Mundo is a different class of superstar here. So for this to have not been a quick defeat and for him to actually hit some pretty decent moves against Mundo, I think was important to build Angelico. And I think it was effective in that.
Yeah, no, it was very effective. It like I said, it kind of did the best job of selling me with Angelico, like even better than having that weird feud he has with Ivelisse and Son of Havoc. I thought this was great. But we cut from this match to a very, very cool video package. We have Black Lotus writing from an undisclosed location, talking about being kidnapped by El Dragon Azteca. And it's a very Kill Bill style training bit, as she is learning the ways of Lucha Libre from him in order to kill the monster that murdered her parents, Matanza. So we see that she didn't fight Matanza, she just got kidnapped while viewing him. So I guess Dragon Azteca was just waiting there. I don't know, but I did love the stylistic I did love the stylistic bits of this. And Robert Rodriguez is friends with Quentin Tarantino, so I'm not surprised by this blatant ripoff.
Right? It was very Tarantino in its aesthetic and kind of style, but I thought it worked for the mystery of Black Lotus. And actually my note in my notes, I just have Black Lotus because I love her story in Lucha Underground, and I'm just, again, this episode had so much stuff that I was so excited to finally get to talk to you about, because now things are starting to come together. Right after the mid-season, things are starting to pick up. Pieces are starting to fall into place with Black Lotus and El Dragon Azteca, the new trios titles. So yeah, I was just so stoked.
Yeah, like it does look like a lot of stuff is coming together. We had Alberto El Patron in the locker room to congratulate Johny, who challenges him to face a guy he's never beaten. And the two get into a proverbial dick measuring contest over both being on the Lucha Underground roster before they kind of go their separate ways. I'm trying to think, were John Morrison and Alberto Del Rio in WWE at the same time?
I'm not sure. That'll be something I will have to look up. I will look that up very quickly, but we can move forward as I look that up. So
yeah, because
the next. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, because they're both putting it over as if they're the big man on campus there, and because what throws me off is he says that the Patron never beat him, which I don't know. It was like, but did they ever wrestle? Like, were they there at the same time? Because Alberto Del Rio, like, again, that's a weird phase in WWE where my brain just kind of gets mixed up. The early 2010s. I'm curious what's going to happen between the two of them because of that, and is it going to hinder the storytelling in Lucha Underground because part of the focus is both of them having been prior WWE. Without mentioning WWE, that I will say they have not said it once in this. They've indirectly referenced it, but haven't said it. But in the office, Cueto has Sexy Star, and he says he has her in the tournament with Superfly and Pentagon Jr. against Big Ryck and his new boys. And he says that tag teaming with Pentagon Jr. could be her big break, which is super not which is A, super not subtle, and B, in hindsight, even worse.
I had a problem with that one. I'm gonna tell you. I love Pentagon. You know I love Pentagon. Everybody knows I love Pentagon. But I had a problem with that. I was like, see for real right now, because arguably at this moment in Lucha Underground, Sexy Star is the much more compelling star. And I get that was absolutely, meant to be a dig and a heel dig at that. but just had problems with that. Also, not to backtrack too far, but trying to do my best Vampiro impression here. Morrison and Alberto Del Rio were both in the 2010 King of the Ring tournament, and Morrison beat Del Rio, I want to in one of the rounds.
Okay, so they were there at the same time. It was, again, I was very curious about that, but good to know.
For a very short amount of time. Like, Del Rio was just starting, whereas Morrison was kind of close to the end of his run, or that current run in the WWE.
All right, that makes sense. But we do have our second match of the show. Drago versus Aerostar. Match 4 of their best of 5. And I am a bit confused. There aren't different stipulations to these matches. And I do enjoy their good lucha things. But it doesn't feel like we're really getting anything new from these two. And Drago does get a win after a seated crucifix style pin. So they are now...
Unsurprisingly.
Yeah, so they're now 2-2 going into match 5. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the last best of 5 series I've seen that did not go to 5 matches. Because it seems like you've got to get the most traction out of one of those stipulations. And they're having a slightly aggressive handshake. But yeah, I think again that is I like the action between these two. I want to see something different though.
Yeah. I mean, it's always going to be a good old classic lucha match between Aerostar and Drago. But when it's the same kind of match over and over again, it sort of starts to be like, okay, and I feel like that's when it becomes a disservice to those two guys, because then people start to take for granted the match they're having, because I mean these are two really talented dudes, really solid lucha libre style for both of them. And with the best of 5, especially when you don't see different stipulations or different variables, like maybe a street fight as one, or falls count anywhere as one, or a steel cage as one, then people start to take for granted that it's the same match. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's unfortunate. But I mean, these two still going out there and killing it. Hopefully match number 5 will just blow us all away.
That would be ideal, yes. Blow us one by one, everyone individually, blow us away.
Yes.
But we go back to Darios' office, where he's doing a lot of things tonight. He's got a full plate. Man, this GM is putting the work in. And he says that he has Son of Havoc, Angelico, and Ivelisse in the office, and he's berating all of them, especially Ivelisse for getting dumped, which he thinks is the most pathetic part. And they're all losers in his eyes as singles competitors. And I do love he's like, and Son of Havoc, I know you have a win over Angelico, but no offense, that doesn't make up for weeks and weeks of losing.
Losses, yeah.
And he says that they are going to be a trios team in a match next week. And plus, we get Son of Havoc afterward going, for the record, I dumped her. And it's like,
I know
he was on your side.
Great.
He knew,
right? Yeah. It was just so funny to me, because it was all 3 of those characters turned up to 11. Ivelisse just being really sort of belligerent about the fact that she still has to be stuck with these 2 guys. And it's like, I didn't get dumped. I'm the one that does the dumping around here. All right. Just like super defensive. And then Son of Havoc getting in that last word, I thought was hilarious, but also good, because Son of Havoc has kind of, for lack of a better word, lost his way, or had lost his way when he was with Ivelisse. So getting to see him have that moment where he's like standing up for himself, I thought was nice. I thought was good. But yes, so stoked that you finally know that they got put together as a trios team. I've been biting my tongue on this for a while.
I was like, what is Spanish for menage a trois? There's the trio's name. It's like I only know it. I guess that's House of Three. So Casa del Trio, or Casa del Tres, I guess would be the joke. That's a bad joke. All right, but we are going to our main event, which is Big Ryck, the Mack, and Killshot versus Sexy Star, Superfly, and Pentagon Jr. And Pentagon Jr. once again cuts a promo on not only his weak opponents, but his weak partners, and claims that he will get the trios titles all on his own. And Pentagon does start in the ring with Willie Mack, who is super impressive as a very agile heavyweight. And Superfly tags himself in to face Killshot. One of the coolest things I've seen is a Killshot jumps over a drop down into a handstand and lands a head scissors. It was a very cool bit of movement. Big Ryck gets in against Sexy Star, who is easily manhandled by him. Once again, he tosses her into her partners. It's like, come on, Sexy Star. I know. It's like, you can be brave, but don't be stupid. You've seen what this guy does to you already. And there is a point, though, where Killshot and Mack also dive out, like showing off their abilities. And Big Ryck gets ready to dive, but he, for some reason, runs to a corner instead of the rope and heads into a crossbody from Sexy Star. Really cool triple false finish with a boosted Rana from Pentagon to Sexy Star on Killshot, and a large splash by Superfly, but Big Ryck saves the day. Big Ryck is able to do some damage to Pentagon and sidesteps Sexy Star, while Killshot hits Superfly with a cutter out of nowhere and a brainbuster from Mack with a double stomp from Killshot to win, to get the win for the Mack, who I guess is the legal man. I don't know, but the Mack is the one that gets the cover and the win. And the match is over, but Pentagon Jr. tries to break Superfly's arm, but Sexy Star runs in, makes a save as the show ends. Man, this was a wild main event. A lot of fun, a lot of action going on. I am so happy to see Willie Mack here. I honestly had no idea Willie Mack was in Lucha Underground because I know him from being a California guy. I'm seeing a lot of these people in here. I'm like, oh, I didn't know you were in the show. You're just a friend.
Quick question. Do you know who Killshot is?
I do not know who Killshot is.
Okay. That's all. Just wanted to know.
Okay, well, what were your thoughts on the match?
I thought it was a pretty interesting trio setup. I loved the introduction of the two new talents in the Mack and Killshot, accompanying Big Ryck. Big Ryck now in a little bit more of a face-ish position. Pentagon Jr. definitely being the big heel of the match, trying to both win it all by himself and then also taking it out on Superfly when he lost. Sexy Star being Sexy Star, you know, I think I enjoyed the inclusion of that moment at the end where Sexy Star came in with the on Superfly. I mean, very in character, but also just very seeing that weird sort of I shouldn't say weird, but that sort of tension between Sexy Star and Pentagon Jr. mixed with slight resentment, not only because of the loss, but also because people view Pentagon Jr. as Sexy Star's ticket, not the other way around. You know what I mean? Kind of echoed with the words of Dario Cueto earlier in the show. So I thought that was a nice, significant moment.
And overall, Angie, you know what? Give us some final thoughts on the show itself. I know I just had you talk a lot about it.
I-
Didn't really follow up, so my bad.
No, you're fine. As I said in a lot of moments in the show, I was really excited. This is pretty much starting to kick up to the second part of the first season, so a lot more pieces are falling into place. We got a lot more narrative stuff going on. The combination of Angelico, Ivelisse, and Son of Havoc as a trios team, revisiting Black Lotus, having the introduction of several new talents, all that, this is a lot of stuff that I had always really liked about Lucha Underground, but I couldn't talk about yet because it didn't happen and it wasn't something you knew about. So it was definitely very much like finally, now we can start talking about this next group of things, because at least now the concept of them has been introduced. So I was pleased overall with this episode. A lot of my favorite things of Lucha Underground, a lot of things that have always been my favorite parts of Lucha Underground, starting to fall into place. So it's a good time for me.
And I thought that this was a very interesting. Like I said, just the introduction to trios itself is great, and I like how this seems like they're going to be building who the teams are. It is actually shockingly kind of nice not to have a bracket, because it allows story beats in there, allows you to fill a little more time. I am very curious to see what happens with Black Lotus, because seeing her getting trained in Lucha Libre is going to be kind of fun. Also, I want to know who Dragon Azteca is, but there's a lot we're doing here, and I'm all for it. Again, I love seeing Willie Mack. I'm so glad to see that he was working on this show, because I legitimately had no idea. I am looking forward to seeing kind of the further adventures of Big Ryck and his crew. I am curious how deep they're going to go with this Pentagon Sexy Star feud, although realistically, at least it's kind of a better size comparison than her and Big Ryck. But overall, fun show. But you know what, Angie? Where can they find you?
So I am a part of two different shows in Hawaii. The first one being Mid-Card Mana, which is when a show that we talk about, kind of go over weekly reviews of stuff, talk a little bit about themes in wrestling, different controversies, stuff like that. And then the second show I'm part of is Valley Isle Collective's Ringside. And that's a little bit goofier. Got a couple more people on that show. It's a little bit more about the fun times, the more obscure and weird things about wrestling. And that's with a group of guys over on Maui.
And you can find me here if you're watching on this channel at youtube.com/FriscoFlame. Or you can, if you're watching this, you can go find us on audio. Just search Underground Lucha Things on your favorite podcast app. You can go to my Etsy, etsy.shop.com/FriscoFlame. I even have Underground Lucha Things pins along with Pride pins. You can go to FriscoFlame.com, get my shirts, including this lovely tri-blend that just has a subtle little logo here. And yeah, trying to find it in a camera is great. But anyway, guys, for myself, for Angie, peace out, party peoples. We will see you next time with more Underground Lucha Things.